What's up, everybody? Gambling Gringos here. So we're going to be dropping this video. It's almost MLB season. I'm going to go from 1 to 30, ranking my best lineup all the way down to the worst lineup. So let's get into it. Number 1, we're going to go with the Braves. They added Jerks and Profar. 1 through 9, they're good. I mean, they got power. Ronald Acuna is going to be coming back at some point this year, so that's going to be helpful as well for them. And yeah, 1 through 9, pretty dirty. Number 2, we're going with the Dodgers. They get whatever they want. You know, they got the best player in the world right now, and they're just not letting up. This year, I kind of see the same as last year. They're going to be one of the top teams in the league, one of the best lineups in the league. So, number 2, LA Dodgers. Number 3, the Orioles. Besides Gunnar Henderson, they don't really have many household names, but they're all pretty underrated. It's a good, underrated lineup, 1 through 9, and they're going to do some damage again this season. I'm excited to see it. Number 4, we're going with the Phillies. They got a nasty 1 through 4. And they didn't add too much. They didn't need to. They got Max Kepler, I guess. But other than that, they didn't really add too much from last year. And they're still going to be a great hitting team. And I can't wait to see how they do. For the 5th best, I'm going to go with the Padres. I was going back and forth on them a little bit. You know, they look very solid on paper, but you never know with this team. All depends if Tatis stays healthy, you know, if Machado lives up to expectations. You know, Arise is always going to get on. But these guys, on paper, they should be the 5th best in the league. Number 6, we're going to go with the Yankees. They added Bellinger. They added Goldschmidt. I think those two are going to thrive. This team doesn't hit for a great average, but you know, in a stadium like Yankee Stadium, you're gonna have some Oppo Taco homers. You're gonna have some lefty pull homers. You know, I think that this team 6th best. It would be higher if they hit for average. So 7, I'm going with the Rangers. You know, last year was a down year for them. I'll say that, but they've got a lethal lineup. I can't say anything different. Their new guys last year had a down year, and they added Jake Berger, who is a very underrated player. I think he's going to add a lot to that offense. But, yeah, number 7. Number 8, we're going with the Red Sox. This lineup, man, I'm telling you, they're going to be lethal. They might be a sneaky wild card or even deep playoff push contender. This lineup is pretty dirty. They added Bregman, obviously. He's going to hit for a lot of doubles in that field. And, you know, they don't really have too many weaknesses on this team. Number 9, I'm going with the Mets. That top of the lineup is pretty darn lethal. I think Vientos is going to have a breakout year. And, you know, nobody knew that they were going to get Soto. And they weren't sure if they were going to get Pete Alonso back. So their fans went through a roller coaster this offseason. And they're going to be a World Series contender. Number 10, I'm going with the D-backs. You know, they lost Christian Walker, but they gained Josh Naylor, who's kind of the same type of player, just different side of the plate. They got some contact, they got some speed, they got some power. They just kind of got it all. So this team will be pretty dirty. 11, I'm going with the Blue Jays. You know, they got a nice top 5, but drops off a little bit after that. That's why they're lower than they usually would be. But They added Santander. He's going to be good for them. And they're still going to be a great hitting team. I don't see them making the playoffs, but you never know. 12, I'm going with the Astros. I think that their dynasty run might be over. This is kind of on the down slope. They still have the best overall hitter, in my opinion, in the league, Yordan Alvarez. And they added Christian Walker, great player. I just don't see them being as good as they used to be. They're still a top half lineup, but I think they're going to start to fall off here a little bit. 13, I'm going to go with the Brewers. They have an underrated lineup. Teams aren't really scared to face them, but I think, they're underrated in a way where they put up a lot of runs, and I foresee that happening again this year and probably being up there in their division. So then I have the Giants. That Willie Adames edition, it's going to be great. It's going to help them out. They've got just decent players all around. So, and tough division though. So maybe that will deflate their numbers. But I would put them in the middle of the pack. So at 15, we're going to have our first AL Central team, the Royals. When you have the most electric player in the league on your team, Bobby Witt, that's going to put you up there a little bit. But the rest of their lineup isn't spectacular. Salvador Perez is on the decline, and Pasquantino, I think he'll bounce back this year. I think there's just not enough pieces around Bobby Witt to really put them up there. So middle of the pack sounds about right. 16, I'm going with the Cardinals. They have a lot of potential, but also they don't really have any marquee guys that are going to really put them over the top, maybe in the top half of teams. I think they're just a decent lineup top to bottom. They don't have any special talents, but it's really a decent team. I'll give them that. All right, we're at 17. We're going Seattle. They have a nice 1-2-3 punch with Julio, Cal, and Rosarena now, but the team just strikes out way too much. And a team that strikes out a ton, I'm not just going to put them high on the list. Sure, there's teams that do strike out a ton higher in the list, but it's also a better all-around team and maybe a little more power. So I'm just not super high on this lineup. They got a great pitching rotation, which I'll talk about in another video, but they'll be a playoff team. 18, I'm going with Chicago Cubs. So that 1 through 4 is pretty nasty. That was a great addition, maybe one of the best additions this offseason, adding Kyle Tucker. But, after that, it kind of drops off a little bit, and they're going to be in the mix throughout the season, but nothing crazy. So I think I'm going to put them at 18. 19, I'm going with the Twins. They have a very injury-prone top 3 guys, Royce Lewis, Buxton, and Correa, which is their best 3 hitters. So, if those guys stay healthy throughout the year, they could do pretty good things, but it just hasn't happened for them. But if everyone's healthy, the lineup is all right. You just can't rely on that. 20, I'm going with the Angels. So this lineup could be sneaky with Mike Trout coming back. They've got Jorge Soler now. It could be a sneaky good lineup, but for now, I'm going to have to put them in the bottom half. And all right, 21, Rockies. So the Rockies, they don't have a ton of big names, but these guys can definitely put up numbers. They put up good numbers last year, and I think this year it's going to be kind of around the same. But don't sleep on this Rockies lineup. It's the pitching side that I wouldn't really trust. Now, this Washington team, I'm going to put right here, they could very well go up by the end of the year. You know, their young guys are going to come out swinging, and I don't know. I think they're going to be pretty competitive this year compared to last season's. Got a lot of potential. 23, I'm going with the A's. So they've got a few decent hitters, you know. Rooker was absolutely amazing last year. And they've got Butler, who's a force. And, you know, Soderstrom's all right. Their catcher, Langoliers, he puts up numbers. But overall, as a team, I don't know if I can put them any higher than this. Next, I've got the Reds. So if this team didn't have Ellie, I don't know where they would be. They would be pretty darn low. But, you know, they got Lux and they got Hayes filling out the bottom of the lineup. And it's not the worst lineup that you could have. I think they have a lot of upside, but for now, I'm just going to leave them right here. 25, I'm going to go with the Indians. I mean the Guardians. Besides their two guys, you know, Ramirez and Steven Kwan, it's pretty bad from there. They lost Jimenez, they lost Naylor, and this team is probably going to spiral this year if I were to predict, which I may do another video on that, but I just don't see this lineup doing much. 26, I'm going to go with the Rays. So the Rays on paper don't look like a great lineup, but for some reason every year they always pull some magic, like they pull the rabbit out of the hat and somehow have a serviceable lineup, which I imagine happening this year, you know, but on paper it just doesn't look that great. They got I don't know what it is. 27, I'm going to go with the Tigers. So they added Torres, and I got to give it to them. They have a pretty scrappy lineup, but, I mean, their pitching is really what brought them to how they were last year. And it's probably going to be the same this year, a little bit of the same, but I don't think the Torres addition is going to be as great as everyone thinks. This team, I could maybe see in the 80 win range with this lineup. 28, I'm going to have to go with the Pirates. I might get a little heat for this one, but, you know, the Reynolds Cruz 1-2 punch, that's just not enough. I think they need a few more bigger names in this lineup. And, you know, the Tommy Pham edition will help a little bit. And they got Key Brian Hayes, who will probably pick it up this year after a rough season last year. I just can't put this lineup very high. 29, surprisingly, the Chicago White Sox. I mean, it's just rough. This is a rough lineup. Robert helps having him back in the lineup. And then, you know, Vaughn's all right. But those two are saving him from being last. And maybe they'll have the worst record in the league again. They probably won't have as many losses as last year. But at least they're not last. You know what? At least they're not last. So, and you'll see the team that's last. It's rough. And last and least, the Miami Marlins. I mean, goodness gracious. Xavier Edwards, maybe their only serviceable player. In that lineup, Jesus Sanchez would probably be on a rotation on any other team. But come on, what is this? This is crazy. I've never seen anything like this in the past 10 years. Even the White Sox last year had a better lineup than this. So, man, I feel for you Miami Marlins fans, but it's going to be a rough year for the offense. You know, their pitching, it's not the worst in the league, but we'll get into that in another video again. But, man, I feel for you guys. And with that, the video is concluded. This is all my opinion, so if you want to argue with me, go ahead and do it in the comments. But, you know, I feel for the Marlins. And really, the top 10 teams that I put could really be shuffled around. There's no great answer in that top 10. A lot of good lineups this season, but there's really just 2 lineups that are very, very bad. So all the other lineups, you know, they got a couple good players here and there. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'll probably be doing a rotation one here within the next week. So subscribe, like it, and I'll see you in the next video.